Hey guys, this is JRay with Dynamic Discs. I've been on the team for 6 years now. I also run one of the touring RVs, so I've probably been to one of your towns. I travel about 9 months a year doing this. We're gonna do it in the bag today. Just wanna talk about a little bit about what I'm throwing. So let's get right into it. We'll start with my distance drivers. My first very overstable, this is basically every headwind distance shot, is the Lucid X Enforcer. This is the most overstable disc in our lineup. It is very, very dependable for me. For guys like you, or for any of you out there that have plus arms, 400, 500 foot arms, this is the one that you never have to worry about in the headwind. So if you don't have one of those, definitely pick one up. It is an awesome, awesome, awesome disc. Next is the Sparkle Defender. This is not quite as overstable as the Lucid X Enforcer. It's got a little bit more glide like most Defenders do over the Enforcer. This is the one that I use kind of for just slight headwinds, really to get more distance, not really lose it to the right very much. Then, my new favorite disc. I have 4 of these in my bag, the Ballista Pro. This is what I've won several distance competitions with. It's very domey, very pop-toppy, and super overstable for a high-speed, high-distance, high-glide driver. I love this thing. I can throw it on flex lines, I can throw it on pure hyzers, flats, just gonna get a long, straight glide with a heavy finish on the end. So I carry 2 Gold Line. These are really overstable versions. This is actually 3 Gold Line. One's a hand-eye stamped one, burst, but these 3 are really my go-tos. That's why there's 3 in the bag, especially on courses like this one, where there's a lot of water on almost all the holes. And then I have one Opto in here that's more, it stands up a little bit more for me. Just that particular run was not quite as domey. But yeah, so those are the Ballista Pros. Next, we have the Burst Fusion Trespass. This run of this disc is awesome. It is, it goes, I would say probably further than my Ballista Pros on a straighter line. It's got a little bit more glide to the right. It's a little bit more unique than the historic runs of this disc, where it doesn't quite have as much slide to the right. It doesn't dump on you when throwing hard. I can put this on a little bit of a hyzer or on a serious hyzer, and it'll pop up, get straight. If I throw it a little bit flat, it'll just have that big wide turn and finish. But this thing goes a long way. So if you want to check out one of these, this run of these discs is really much more stable than the history of that disc has been. Then this one is a new addition to my bag. I've only gotten to throw this probably a dozen times so far, but it has been awesome, to say the least. I'm loving it. I'm anxious to see how it breaks in, but off the bat, it definitely fits right between the Trespass and the Defender. It's got that high glide, high speed, but you can flex it, where with a Trespass, you can't really get away with flexing the disc as much, because it'll hold that line a little bit longer, at least for pure distance. But this one comes out on the end, so I'm really excited to keep working with this, but I definitely think it's gonna make my bag for sure. All right, fairways. My favorite fairway driver in our lineup is the Getaway. This is my Zach Melton Getaway. I also am very fond of this stamp. I think it's the best one I've ever made. But yeah, I love this disc because it is, it gets so much glide, and it's still got some stability to it. You can make it pop up and go straight. You can make it turn to the right, but it's just very, very dependable. And for things, 440, inside 440 feet, this is probably what I'm throwing to keep it on a straight line. All right, then we've got the Explorer. I've got my prototype Explorer, and then a special edition Explorer in the bag. The prototype is definitely the straighter version of that, where it'll pop up, you can get a little bit glide to the right, but it's gonna finish straight. The special edition one definitely is more for, I'll use it for rollers. I'll also use it for just turnover shots to not really have to force it. I can just throw it hard, and it'll stand up and glide to the right, and kind of finish that way. All right, then the Eric Oakley disc, the Felon. This is a prototype Felon. I usually have a couple of them in my bag, but this is just a very overstable version of the Felon. It's definitely great in wind, definitely great for ground play if you can understand how to use that. I use it for forehands also, so it's a great versatile disc that you can use off the tee box in the fairways for approaches. any overhead shots. But yeah, I love the Felon. Now, my favorite disc of all time, the best disc we've ever made. This is the prototype Verdict. It's actually got a truth stamp on the bottom. These came out at the AM World Championships in Emporia. I think I have like 40 of these, and no, I will not sell any of them. But this is the best disc. This is my security blanket in my bag. I throw it for anything that's probably 375 to 300 just on a straight line or controlled hyzer. It's just rip it and it's just gonna go straight. It doesn't really turn. And this one, you know, this is season one, so it doesn't have a ton of fade to it. It's just a really straight disc that handles power. But I love this disc, and if you have not thrown one, and the Verdicts in general, I also carry a hybrid Verdict in here that's a little bit more stable version of this disc, but they're both great. So I highly, highly recommend the Verdict. I think it really is, it's probably the best disc, in my opinion, that we've made. Moving on, I've got the EMAC Truth. This I use kind of, in comparison to the Verdict, it's just gonna have more glide. Most of you guys know about the EMAC Truth. This is a good opaque run. It's almost hybrid plastic, but it says Lucid on it. But it's gonna have a little bit more pop-up and glide to the right. It's got a little bit more S-flight, and it's got so much glide, you don't have to put a ton of power on it to get, you know, 300 plus feet out of it very easily. The Patrol. This is a new disc that I put in my bag this year. I do not have the strongest forehand by any means, but this disc has really given me an opportunity to mimic that shot with a backhand. It doesn't take much power. You can play with a lot of different angles with this disc. It's really understable, but it's got a lot of unique character traits to it that make it fun to try to use different angles on the course to kind of get you into some gaps that you wouldn't normally be able to hit. My forehand only goes about 300 feet, so this disc allows me to throw that distance a little bit further than that and get that late turn on it, playing just a hyzer flip shot. Then we've got my approach disc. This is the Suspect. Carry 2 first-run Suspects in my bag. I played with this when it first came out, and then the feel of the disc just didn't quite sit right in my hand. And then after last year, talking with Paige Pierce and Melton and some of those guys that really love this disc, I put it back in and realized that it really is. It's kind of a slower version of my Verdict. It's a little bit less stable, so you can get it to pop up and play with some angles a little bit more. But yeah, this thing is just straight line with an aggressive shot. It's a great approach disc to hit lines with for me. Let's move on to my putters. Well, I got one more approach. This is my Justice. This one has a few aces on it. I got a $1,800 ace, the lemon drop with this thing. But the Justice is my favorite approach disc ever. It's just so overstable, you don't have to worry about it. It's great for my forehand because it's terrible. I can flex lines, backhand approaches, using the ground to come into the basket. The Justice is money for me. Then my throwing putter. This is my Zach Rex signature Judge. The Judge I'm a Team Judge guy all the way. My putter's a Team Judge. But yeah, this disc I use for approach shots more for like a 280, 320 foot carry. We're trying to kind of slow play it into the basket instead of taking a more aggressive line. But yeah, I use my Judge for that. And then obviously I putt with Judges. These are Glow Prime Judges. And they're a little bit tackier to me. I like, they soften up a little bit more. I don't like the blended Judges as much because they start soft. But these have been in my bag for probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months now. But I transition these a lot. I really do like having new putters in my bag because I don't like the nicks and stuff in them. But I usually just putt with these putters. I don't really throw them at all. But yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Like I said, I run one of the RVs, so if you guys are ever looking to come to one of our events, Chasin The Chains on Facebook is where you'll find all that information. Jonathan Ray on Facebook, we post all that stuff there. We started putting more and more of that stuff on the Dynamic Discs website as well. So look forward to see you guys out there and have fun.